I want to welcome everybody to our Cleo Clarify 6 release webinar. We have an exciting action-packed agenda to go through today. Just a quick introductions at the top, a little bit of housekeeping. We'll look at the agenda and then we're going to jump right into the content. All right. My name is Dylan Lee. I'm the Senior Director of Product Marketing here at Cleo. I am today joined by Joe Burns, our product manager and the guy that kind of steers the ship and the vision for our Cleo Clarify product. And we are also joined today by Rajesh, who is the Director of Sales for Professional Services. And toward the end of the presentation today, he's going to be talking to you about some of the considerations around migration and leveraging Cleo's expert professional services team to help you, upgrade or migrate as part of this Cleo Clarify 6. So with that said, let's jump into the faster, smarter, more powerful integration. Okay, housekeeping. This is set up as a webinar. Unfortunately, we're not going to let you guys come off mute today, but we do encourage questions. So at the bottom, if you look at your Zoom controls, you will see a Q&A function. Encourage people to drop your questions into the chat here. If time allows, we will cover as many of these as possible live today. And any that we miss, as long as we know who you are, we'll make sure we follow up with you via email or direct outreach in the coming week or so, depending on holiday schedules. That said, the part I mentioned, as long as we know who you are, if you do put it in as an anonymous user, it's going to be a lot harder for us to follow up with you. That said, we do reach out, we do answer, and we make sure we get back to every single person that we can. So one other note here, folks, the webinar is being recorded. So if you need to drop off early, or even if somebody else that you work with registered for the webinar but was unable to attend, we will make sure that you all get a copy of today's recording. So keep an eye out from a note from our marketing team within about a week and a half after today's session. So let's take a look at the agenda. So what do we mean by smarter, more powerful integration starting now? Well, I think the most exciting part of this presentation comes at the top, where Joe's going to talk to us about everything that's new in our major release of Cleo Clarify 6. And then we're going to talk to you about some of the considerations, upgrade paths, and options you have, along with some of the best practices. And Joe is also going to walk us through some of the technical kind of step-by-step considerations across 3 of those upgrade or migration paths that you have to consider. I'm going to touch on why it's always a good idea to consider upgrading quickly, given the current state of security in the market, supply chain threats, best practices in terms of always being on the most recent version of supported software. We'll touch on those kind of things, and then we're just going to bring us home with a look at some of the considerations around one of those key paths and the way that Cleo can support you through that. If time allows, we'll start to address some of those questions as they come in as well. So let's move on. All right, Cleo Clarify 6 is here. This is a major release that came out at the beginning of last week, and we're hoping that folks have started to, access their license, download it, and explore some of the new capabilities that are part of this release. But in case you haven't got your hands on it, here's why you guys should be excited about the latest release. So I'm going to pass it over to Joe to talk through some of the details in Clarify 6. Joe, over to you.
Dylan, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your time today. As Dylan said, Clarify 6 is upon us, and we're stoked to share the functionality with you all. So let's get right into it. As Dylan said, this was released at the beginning of last week, May 11th. We have a lot of cool capabilities baked in here. So Clarify 6 is the most secure version of the product that we have ever launched. The team has been diligently working through some previous vulnerabilities that we have found within previous major versions of the build, and we're happy to announce that all reachable and critical vulnerabilities have been remediated, which means that your compliance office in your organization is going to be pleased when you're installing this. We are bringing the capability to bring your own Postgres database to the table. Now, this helps with some of the more nuanced control of the application. It allows your team to scale your infrastructure a little bit more thoughtfully, and also allows for later versions of Postgres to be brought to the application. So previous installers or installs, previous users who have been using like 4 and 5, we were running on kind of Postgres 9.4, so an older version. And now with this ability to bring your own to the table, we are able to more broadly support newer flavors of Postgres, which is great. Uh, with that comes the Studio UI. So we've taken some of the smooth look and feel from our cloud product and we've brought it into a Clarify Studio. So you'll see some cool new functionality like the reference view. It's able to kind of tell you how different objects relate to each other. We have the business process editor that is released, so it's a little bit more of a um, smooth and clean developer experience at the business process level, which we're thrilled about. So take a look out for a new look and feel within the studio. Cloud Feature Sync. So we brought some vault and security capabilities, protecting your data at rest, type of capabilities from the cloud. So if you've ever kind of seen our cloud software, some of this will be familiar to you. But I don't want to glaze over the prominent bug fixes that we've added. So in CIC, we've been kind of addressing issues as they come up, and there's been quite a handful that have come up since the last release of Clarify 5. So we've wrapped it all up and we've put it in Clarify 6. So um, bugs have been remediated, and there's also a handful of performance improvements that you'll see as well. So deployment, running faster is included as well. Some new ERP connectors have been added. So not only have we added new ERP connectors, we've also gone ahead and updated some of the ones that were previously in the software to reflect uh, the latest method of authing against those ERPs. And we've also added eBay, Business Central, and SAP for HANA, and upgrade ready. So we have ensured that there is a simple upgrade path from 4 and 5 to Clarify 6. And we're going to get into it in a little bit, but there's going to be some conversation about what those steps look like for you to get off of your previous install of 4 or 5, and some details on how to get to 6 for the cloud if you're ready to abandon some of your local hardware. So I think that pretty much covers it. I'm glazing over. There are a lot more, but if you want to have some more information about what's included towards the end of the presentation here, I think we have some resources that we can provide you with, so that way you can get a more comprehensive understanding of everything that's here. Great. So with that, I will go ahead and pass it over to Dylan.
All right, thanks, Joe. And as Joe mentioned, our solution center, if that's not an area where you guys have visited yet, absolutely go check out the solution center. There's just a really, really rich repository of additional technical documentation. As Joe said, some of the advantages that you get on Clarify 6 versus some of the earlier versions that you may be on today, with a lot more details than we were able to pack in on just one slide there. Okay, so let's talk about upgrade paths, right? Now, it's likely that almost every single person on this call is joining us today to learn about the new version because you're on a different version. You might be on version 5 or potentially even version 4. So what are your upgrade paths? So we're recommending 3 different paths to upgrade, right? The first one on the left is really, it's a Clarify to Clarify upgrade, where you're going to go from your current version of Clarify 4 or Clarify 5 to Clarify 6. And some of the capabilities that Joe just walked through, you're really going to be unlocking these, right? So some of the earlier versions don't have access to some of those API endpoints, or ERP or e-commerce, capabilities. Some of the lesser licenses are not going to have the same level of capabilities as well as that we're making available in Clarify 6. So in terms of getting on the latest secure version of the Clarify product, ensuring you're going to be supported for years to come, as well as I think most essentially unlocking the advantages of the advanced functionality and stability and performance improvements that come with Clarify 6, it's kind of a no-brainer if you're planning to stay on Clarify to get from 4 to 5 to 6 and start to think about that planned upgrade as soon as you can. Um, Now that said, this is Clio. We like to provide you options and flexibility to support your business in any way, shape, or form. So one of the other, considerations is, if you don't want to do the work of going from Clarify to Clarify, if you're even considering the cloud, it might be time to revisit going from Clarify to CIC. Not only does this give you all of the transformation power that you get with Cleo Clarify, but you get a cloud visibility layer, you get intelligent exception management, you're going to have access to our current and future AI capabilities that we have available, as well as a lot of the exciting things that we're bringing in on the supply chain orchestration front. So yeah, I mean, we are obviously like innovating and investing a lot in the Clarify product, but in terms of like the modernization side, the cloud is just something that opens up a whole new world of possibilities around your integration strategy. Now, if you're not ready to, pull the ripcord and do a full migration to a different product, there is, another path, which is to keep your Clarify in place with that 6 upgrade. And then if you want to explore one of our lighter weight, lower cost, products, we have Compliance Edition, which would allow you to like layer on additional trading partners with the addition of, human readable, super non-technical interface, label printing, and still get the advantages of the cloud. So this is a lightweight, low cost, low risk solution that you can add as a cloud layer above your existing, imprint with Clarify. So one thing I'll point out at the bottom of the screen is clarify-migration at Clio.com. If you have any questions about any of these paths, technical questions, if you're not sure if it's a support question or a sales question or a professional services question or a consultancy question, send it to this email. And we have folks in our account management and customer success program who are reviewing all of the communications and will make sure that your communication gets sent to the right person, whether that's product, professional services, or support. So with that, I'm going to send it back to Joe. So Joe's going to walk through a couple of our migration paths with a keen focus on 4 to 6, 5 to 6, as well as Clarify to cloud as a potential migration path for you. So back to you, Joe.
Thanks, Dylan. Okay, so we're going to start with Clarify 5 to Clarify 6. We're going to outline kind of the 8 steps that it'll take to get there. So with all things, when you're doing a big lift like this, you want to ensure that you have a backup of everything that you have installed locally. So for Clarify 5, that would mean maintaining the records within your database and also maintaining the structure of the install. Next, you want to get your projects that you have deployed in production, a set of projects that are known good. You want to get those into an SVN repository. It doesn't have to be an SVN. It could be a local backup as well, but the key point is to store these where they're readily available for the new install. Next, you're going to provision new hardware for Clarify 6. So on this tile, it's important to mention that you will have to provision some new machinery in order to get Clarify 6 installed. This is not a simple button upgrade process, unfortunately, but you'll want to go ahead and get the necessary tooling that you need to install Clarify. On top of that, you will have to retrieve a supported version of Postgres. Out of the box, we are supporting versions 13 through 16. We have a bunch of documentation about where to get this. Postgres is an open source database tool, so you shouldn't have much trouble getting your hands on it. Next, we have install Clarify 6 as a cluster or single server. Um, it's a good time to, through this process, kind of evaluate if your business meets the needs of having a cluster. Cluster gets you a little bit more redundancy. Single server is a little bit more lightweight. Um, but that's something that you can kind of determine at this stage. Next, you'll check out those artifacts that you or projects that you put into the SVN at the beginning of this flow, and then you'll bring them into Clarify 6. If you're using file system, you would just simply import these projects. Next is an optional kind of step where you would want to evaluate if you would like to upgrade your projects to version 2. Now, this is a huge lift from version 1. This is where all of our enhancements land when we do deliver them. They land in the version 2 version of the objects. And many bug fixes that were remediated have been fixed in version 2 types of objects. So if you're on version 1 and you're seeing things like performance, slowness, things of that nature, version 2 is definitely where you want to be in order to get the latest fixes, the better performance, and the enhancements that are outstanding. And then you can deploy and test within your stage, environment, or region. This is a very, very important step. You want to kick the tires on what you have deployed to ensure that once you actually get things into production, things run smoothly. So there's no interruption in business continuity. Couple shout outs at the bottom here. Jumping back to step 4, we obviously recommend the latest version of Postgres that is available to you within that major version of Postgres 16. Yeah, and there's some migration options as well to kind of help you through this process if you feel like this is a larger lift than your team is capable of.
Perfect. I'm going to just put a little footnote on Joe's
Sure.
first path here. Joe mentioned some of the advantages of cluster and single server. That said, if you're a single server customer today or a cluster customer today, we do have migration documentation for both of those footprints, right? So there is a slight, like a little bit more detail around that specific step, and documentation is available to support you.
Thanks. And I guess one more shout out while we're doing it. I want to highlight the text that says optional in tile 7. Obviously, it is our recommendation to get to version 2 throughout this process, but it is not absolutely necessary. It's not a prerequisite to getting the Clarify 6. So just something worth mentioning there. Now I'm going to transition into Clarify 4 to Clarify 6, which is a little bit more of a lift, but we'll get into that. So similar to the last flow, the first 4 steps are largely the same. So backing up your database, your file system, putting them in a location that's available to the new install, whether that be network file system, whether that be the SVN, both are okay. Provision that new hardware, grab a version of Postgres, and install Clarify 6 as a single server or cluster. Then you'll go ahead and grab those projects and get them into your workspace of 6. Same as last slide. Take a look at your projects, kind of see if there's any opportunities for enhancement or refactor just to get to version 2. Now this tile is distinctly, so this is different than the previous flow. The clean and update project configurations is a step that will go through and it'll update your project structure to kind of align with what Clarify 6 expects in the workspace. At this point, there could be some errors that show up in the workspace, and that is simply because Clarify 4 runs on an older version of Java. So there's a little bit of manual work here to kind of remediate some of those. As always, we are here to help answer any questions throughout that process. And then finally, you'll go ahead and do the same thing as the previous flow. You'll deploy in your stage or your QA environment, ensure that the performance of your processes will align with the needs of your business. And kick the tires before you get everything into production. Um, Couple shout outs. So there's a new little footnote there at step 6 and 7. That's what I was kind of alluding to with remediating some of those errors that come as a result of cleaning and updating your project configurations. We have some specific guidance for what happens in this step within some of our uh, migration documentation or our upgrade documentation, I should say. And finally, I'm going to go through the 6 steps to get from Clarify 5 to CIC. So at this point, step 1 is very different. Actually, this flow is very different. So when you're taking the steps to get to cloud, it's important that you take careful inventory of everything that you have in Clarify. You want to suss out things like project dependencies, duplicate business processes, things of that nature. If your projects are a little bit scattered, where they're not sorted by trading partner or something like that, this is a great opportunity to go and kind of add some naming convention or structure to your projects. The next step is migrate the projects themselves. So you would want to similarly use the SVN or your local file system to bring those projects into CIC. And some of the objects that were made that are available within on-prem will not be available within CIC. So you have to do some substitutions here, such as replace file monitors with endpoints, adapters with data flows, business processes with data flows, where it's applicable. Again, we do have a solid resource for this process that is a little bit more step by step. So this is very high level. Next, you'll hook up the CIC cockpit projects to your projects. So this is a set of projects that we provide all of our customers, and it allows advanced visibility within our CIC cockpit, which is our visualization tool over everything that runs within CIC. We have a lot of articles on how to do this. It's very straightforward. You simply add business process tasks where you need visibility. You would test and stage, kick the tires on your integrations a little bit. You want to do things like user assurance testing, some load testing, regression testing. It's very important that this step is followed diligently so that way things are predictable once you get into production. Then you'll do things like optimize and tune. So important note here is that since your integrations or your projects are going to be within the cloud and hosted within the cloud, there are a couple more hops in order for us to get your data from your ERP or your back office. So this means that we want to do things like reduce the amount of SQL access objects or calls within a rule set, for example. We advise kind of limiting a couple of things within projects in order to make things run smoothly. And finally, you'll deploy and validate. So you can cut over from having your production running within the walls of your business, and you can have CIC crunch your integrations and some of your data movement as well, should you need it. A couple things here. Converting from V1 to V2, again, is not prerequisite to getting to CIC, although we do heavily recommend it. There are countless enhancements and performance improvements that we've added within V2, similar to kind of the same methodology from the last 2 flows here. With that, I think I've covered the 3 different kind of flows to get from 4 and 5 to either 6 or cloud. I'll go ahead and pass the ball back to Dylan so that way we can continue.
I feel like we're playing a game of handball here.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit more back and forth, folks. But no, Joe, that was great. And as you guys can see, there's a lot of detail. There's optionality depending on the path to either upgrading or migration that you're considering. And one of the things we want you to know, we'll get to this, is like you don't have to go it alone. That said, before we get to some of that, let's talk about why you should start to plan your upgrade or migration ASAP. So let's just jump in. This is just a friendly reminder that it's been 5 years, or I guess 6 years now, 7 years since we had our last major release of Clarify, which means, Clarify 6 being brand new is going to give you significant advantages from security, from functionality. And just as an industry best practice, it's always good to be on the latest and greatest version of software. Clarify 4, a little bit scarier. If you're still running Clarify 4, you're on software that was originally released 11 years ago. And frankly, we announced last year around this time the end of support planned, which is coming into effect on October 31st, 2026. So if you are on a Clarify 4 version today, it really is critical that you start to make decisions and move. Now, my recommendation, and these are standard industry best practices. If you are the administrator or the user or the person that owns your Clarify 4 instance, or even Clarify 4, notify your CISO, your security leadership team, whoever that person might be within your company. Send them an email. Make sure you have it documented that you've informed them about the end of a support date is coming up and that you will need to invest some resources potentially and at least have some folks there to help with the planning of the upgrade or the migration. We are here to back you up in this, right? We've provided, advance notice, but we know that, business happens, end of year business is coming in, and we're asking everybody to get this ball rolling before that end of support date. So if you need any help in, a communication to somebody inside your company, if you need help pointing to things where that end of support date is being documented, just again send a note to Clarify Migration at Cleo, and we'll make sure we get you back what you need to support that, all the way up to us including a formal notification letter that you can share within your company around that as well. Okay, it's not all doom and gloom, but let's before we get to the good stuff, let's talk about the current reality within the market. And that is the new normal in security, right? One of the things that Joe touched on at the top is how strong the Clarify 6 release is around security, right? So you should know with this latest release, there are no vulnerabilities. This is a release that was put into place with top tier security practices in place to close every potential gap that exists in that product, right? Now, why is that important? Well, today, I don't care which statistic you're looking at statistics which are going up, right? The trajectory is from the bottom left to the top right. It is hockey sticking, right? Attack volume, speed, and sophistication of those attacks are increasing. And it's not just your cyber criminal like hacker gangs coming out of potentially Russia or North Korea. We're talking about like state sponsored. If you've been watching the news, you've seen some of the attacks on like U.S. gas stations, and more what you're going to see are attacks which are AI enabled, where they're using the same tools that we're attempting to use in our business as a way to bolster the strength of these attacks, right? And what that leading to is a rise in exploits, right? And you will see 65% here. If you are on unsupported software, 65% of all successful exploits have been attacking unsupported software. So that date of 10/31, Halloween day, it's not just scary because it's spooky season. You want to make sure that you're moving ahead with that upgrade and that migration. And just note, if you have a CISO, if you have, somebody that's focused on security, if you're operating in the supply chain, security is a top priority for every company. And Clarify 6 gives you the confidence in knowing that you will be on a very, very strong product that is up to the task of the modern kind of marketplace environment. All right. So let's just talk about October 31st, things you should be thinking about, right? You want to make sure that you're planning to upgrade or migrate before the deadline. You get some advantages with this, right? Your current pricing will be grandfathered, subject to a 10% to 15% annual uplift, which is pretty standard for the market. If you miss the market, or if you miss that deadline, if you're sitting on your hands and waiting and waiting and waiting and not engaging with Cleo, not planning it, not getting access to your latest license and making the move up, or talking to us about migration, we will not grandfather your pricing, and a new purchase agreement may be required to access the latest version. We're not trying to place, hardball here, but really, really critical that our customers, especially those on Clarify 4, do not remain on unsupported product. This is for your good. It's also for the good of your business as well. So we're looking to make sure that you're migrating to Clarify 6 or migrating to our one of our cloud products as well. Okay, so who is eligible? If you're paying us for Clarify today, if you have active maintenance, then you're eligible to move to the latest version. You should have no issues. If you're here but you don't have active maintenance, in order to get access to the latest version of Clarify 6, you will have to restart that maintenance and make sure that you have a contract with Cleo that's valid and current today. Note, you may be a Clarify Lite or a Clarify Express customer. If you are, it's likely that you have access to that product through a service bureau or an OEM partner of Cleo's. There's a little slightly different path there. You should be working with your partner to make sure that they are getting you updated to the latest version. But that said, you will have like for like licensing. If you have a full version of Clarify, when you access the latest version, you will get access to the full version. If you have Lite or Express, you'll have access to that same version as well. Okay, I'm just going to jump along here to the next part, which is really about choosing your upgrade or your migration path. And this is where I'm almost ready to introduce Rajesh and have him talk to us about some of the details in this. But first, really two different ways, right? We have three different like migration or upgrade options and two kind of paths to get there. Path one is do it yourself. This means you have the folks, the time, the bandwidth, the expertise, the skill set to follow one of those three kind of upgrade migration paths that Joe walked through earlier. And path number two here, if you don't have that, then my recommendation is you reach out to Clarify Migration at Cleo.com to discuss, what Cleo Professional Services can do for you. My recommendation, there's quite a few people on this call. There's quite a few other customers waiting in the wings. Engage as quickly as possible if you're considering working with Cleo Professional Services so we can scope and calendar your project to make sure that we are upgrading you as quickly as possible. Okay, one other footnote here, if we'll jump ahead to documentation, right? If you are somebody that wants to do it yourself, note there is just a wealth of resources available for you on our Solution Center. Everything from release notes to install guides, and this would include for single server as well as cluster. There are a number of like technical details within the release notes so you can understand, hey, when I get this new version, what am I actually getting access to? Which could include some of the new connector capabilities, some of the new API, the performance and resilience of the product as well. And then, again, just a ton of one-page guides here, like Clarify 5 and 6 to Cleo Integration Cloud. We have the same type of documentation, whether you're going from 4 to 6 or 5 to 6 as well. So now I am pleased to welcome and introduce Raj, who's a member of our professional services team, and he's going to walk you through some of the reasons why you might want to partner with Cleo as part of your upgrade and modernization strategy. So over to you, Raj.
Sure. Thank you, Dylan. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for your time today. Really appreciate that. My name is Rajesh Goswami. I'm Services Sales Director here at Cleo. And few key items I want to touch base was the key components that are part of the successful upgrade or migration as you go from version 4.5 to say 5.6 version or from Clarify to CIC, and why Cleo and how we can help in different capacity so that you can focus on your business and have the upgrade handled by Cleo in that case. So Dylan, you want to go a little run this one? So a few critical components for successful upgrade. I mean, as you know, we need to know the environment. What is the existing environment? and what is the end goal. So knowing the existing environment is very key. And then the technical part of it, knowledge of the Cleo Clarify 6, if you're migrating to Clarify 6 or migrating to the CIC. So either case, the technical expertise are very critical. Also knowing your functional and non-functional requirements. And as what Joe mentioned earlier, testing, how you're going to do the testing, the unit test, the system integration test, the load test. So all those testing criteria that kind of needs to be hashed out. And then again, at the end, to knowing all the scope and every requirement, how do you assign the right resource to that? Make sure the overall upgrade is very smooth and completes in a timely fashion. So something that the Clio PS does day in, day out. So certainly we are happy to help you there and see um, how we can do that. So Dylan, you want to move to the next slide, please? So again, why Clio? So of course, our most of our PMs, architects, they have years of experience. I mean, anybody in the range of multiple years, 20 plus years overall from the implementation upgrade experience. Also, all our PS resources, they go through the extensive training on the newer version of the platform, and then continuous product updates. Also, we have chosen few early customers to do some of these Clarify 6 upgrade, and we have resources who have completed those upgrades, and we have the knowledge in terms of how to migrate from the version 4.4 or 5.0 to the Clarify 6, and also some of the migration from Clarify to CIC as well. So we have that wealth of knowledge with us. Also, we can do multiple different flexible engagement with you. So the entire migration upgrade can be handled by Clio, which is the Clio-led upgrade project. We can partner with you on the split in terms of Clio does 50%, you do 50%, or you want to be more hands-on, you can do a majority of the work, and then Clio kind of guides you throughout the process. So we are very flexible in terms of how we want to handle the upgrade. It's just that whatever suits your need, and we can help you get there. So that's our commitment. Okay, thank you, Dylan. Thanks. And normally it's a very structured pathway to the upgrade or migration. If you see it, it's a different steps. We do it throughout the migration. It's a proven track, proven migration approach. We have done a lot of testing, a lot of implementation around that. You will get the comprehensive support and expertise along the way. Also, the key component to any upgrade, any migration is the upfront planning, like how you kind of mitigate all the risk in the cutover, the final cutover, and also the go live. And that needs to be hashed out upfront. And that way we reduce all the risk for the final migration. And normally you see you can do about the 80% of the migration very smoothly, very easily. But that last 20% is where basically you run into issues and how to mitigate those and not extend your overall timeline for that. So we can look into that. Also, again, as I mentioned earlier, flexible engagement models. You let us know how you would like us to engage with you, and we are happy to help you. Again, and as Dylan and Joe mentioned earlier, stay ahead of the curve. I mean, get started now. And some of those migrations, depending upon the complexity, it can be done much sooner before you get the end of support. So you're ready for the supported version and as the October comes. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Raj. Really appreciate that. All right, we're almost done here, folks, but I want to leave you with a couple thoughts, and then I'm going to answer one of the questions that came in live with another screen share. So next steps. If there's three things I want to leave you with, it's what do you do now, right? Based on what we've shared today, based on the availability, start thinking about your migration plan now. Make choices fast in a way that makes sense for your business, right? So whether that's going from your current version to Clarify 6 to get all the advantages that Joe talked about at the top, or even considering, some of the cloud migration options that you could put into consideration for your business. Secondly, is address any open and licensing and subscription questions, request a demo and evaluation of additional options. So these are questions that you can put through to the Clarify migration team. Note, I think the important detail is if you move quickly, if you're on Clarify 4, it's really important that you migrate and update as quickly as possible. We want to make sure that you stay in support, and most importantly, that your business is protected. And then lastly, number 3 here is, make the determination on which of those migration or upgrade paths you're going to take. If you have the skill set, bandwidth, and appetite, this is something that many of our customers are able to manage this themselves and choose that do-it-yourself path. On the other hand, there's a strategic advantage to working with Cleo, going with our experts, the people that do this day in and day out as part of their customer engagement, and have a proven track record of success, methodology, and just win after win in helping our customers meet timelines and even surpass them as well. So once again, please make sure you send additional questions, clarification over to clarifymigration@cleo.com. We have teams watching that, and we will make sure that gets routed to the appropriate team member. I am just going to grab the screen here just for a moment, and I think one of the questions that came through is like, hey, can you share where the documentation is? And so instead of just sharing a link, what I think I can do is just a quick walkthrough and show folks that may not be familiar with our Solution Center how to quickly navigate to all the documentation we have available for our on-premise data transformation product. So Joe, can you give me a thumbs up? Are you seeing my my screen here in the homepage of our Solution Center?
I am not. I am still sharing. Let me stop sharing and I'll let you grab it.
Okay.
There you are. Yep, we
Oh,
got
you
you.
see it now? All right, great. So this is the homepage. If you have never been here before, you can type in Cleo Solution Center into a Google browser, and it should take you to our support.cleo.com site. You can also navigate off our main marketing site here as well. So I'm going to show you a couple shortcuts. If you hover over resources and then select solution documentation from our menu here, it will take you to our documentation. The default is to our cloud edition. Click into private cloud edition, and you'll see here we have our data transformation product, Cleo Clarify, and you can click over to see all of the documentation we have available for the support of this release. So you'll see release notes, our install guides for both the server and the studio, user guides, and also license requests. So if you guys are ready to start getting going today, this is where you'll find the license request. And then additionally, there's some advanced documentation here, upgrading guides, transition guides to the cloud. And then I did see a couple questions come in around licensing and commercial considerations. So recommend checking out the eligibility and licensing FAQ. And it looks like we're out of time. So with that, I'm going to leave it here. We did get a lot of questions in the Q&A panel. Appreciate that. We'll make sure we follow up with you within the next week or so. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. And, let us know how we can help you with your upgrade and migration. So appreciate it, Joe. Thanks, Raj. And, best of luck, everybody. Let us know how we can help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.